I'm Terry.
And I'm Misty.
And we are
Empowered Women Rock.
All right, so today's story, a few people know this about me, but the vast majority do not. It is how I met David. So we actually are one of those success stories for online dating. We met online back in 2004. And it was before Catfish was out, because had Catfish been out, I don't think I would have agreed to actually meet him. At the time, he was living in West Virginia, and I was living in Dallas, and so we talked online, and he actually even called my parents, did a three-way call, had them on the phone, proposed, before he even proposed, asked their hand. Good God. See,
your hand.
My hand. I need some coffee. I actually have water in here today.
I have coffee.
You can tell. Asked for my hand in marriage. So he asked my parents first. And so I thought that was pretty cool because, it's not like we were, 18 and 20. We were already kind of up there a little bit. But that is my little known fact that, again, a handful of people know, but we are a success of online dating.
I still think it's weird because I feel like none of that stuff was out. We just had this discussion a minute ago, but it's still weird to me because I feel like none of this stuff was. I guess Patrick and I met in 2000. Mm-hmm. Y'all met in 2004. There were no dating sites that I'm aware of when Patrick and I met. We'll talk about how Patrick and I met another day.
Was MySpace out back then?
2000?
I don't.
I'm
trying to even think when I got on the internet for the first time.
I have no idea.
I think it was 1998. Like 1996.
We got internet in 1998.
98, something like that.
Because we were like getting those little AOL discs in the mail.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you're like,
you have to do the dial up.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
How time has changed. And technology.
Yeah, and now if you're a farmer, you can get you
FarmersOnly.com.
I know. You can get you your own.
That's
weird to me.
Interesting.
That is so weird to me. It's just weird.
That's got to be big in Texas, though. I would have to think that a good bulk of.
Okay, well, I grew up around Hicks and Cowboys, and we grew up country. Mm-hmm. Golly, when I start to talk about my family, my accent gets really bad. I'm trying not to talk like that. My husband likes to make fun of me. But no, I grew up around all those kind of people, and I can't imagine any of them taking the time to get on a farmers only site to find a date. No.
Really?
First of all, Cowboys, they don't need, the girls come to them. So
I guess they just want more options. I'm
pretty sure they're drugstore cowboys. That they go buy a bale of hay and stick it on their front porch for, Halloween. So they're farmers.
There you go.
I don't know about that site. Anywho, so Terry just learned this a second ago, but so my weird thing about me is that I am a weird, quirky grocery shopper. I like my groceries perfectly organized in my buggy. Everything has a place. It's a buggy. It's not a cart, people. It's a buggy.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
People are like, do you need a shopping cart? I'm like, you ain't from around here.
Yeah. It's a buggy.
It's a buggy.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, good. You always know people aren't from here. So
you've got
everything has a place. And my husband refuses to adapt.
Oh, I can imagine. I can see Patrick like this.
He does. He does. And he does it on purpose. So he'll put stuff in the buggy when I'm not looking.
I was going to say, you turn around to get something and you come back and it's like...
Yeah, and it's not where it goes. So like every other aisle, I'm stopping and organizing my... Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I typically shop alone.
I see why. That's pretty...
Nobody wants to go shopping with me.
Hilarious. That's funny. And again, and you go out of town, it's...
Well, I only go one other place.
Uh-huh.
The only other place I go grocery shopping is Austin. Mm-hmm. And that store, I already know that store already.
What would you do, though, if you just, again, y'all were...
I would have to assess the situation first. I'd have to walk through the store.
Shut up. You would really walk through the store.
Probably.
And get the layout.
Probably, yeah.
Oh.
I'd walk around with my cart empty first.
That is
Like I wouldn't
just
like
kinda
walk
look
around like I was stalking people. I'd get a cart first. But yeah, I most likely would have to do
That
some
is
sort of like
hilarious.
quick like layout situation.
Does it take you like an hour and a half to shop? 2 hours? Are you one
It
of those
depends.
long shoppers?
Well, before HEB went and messed up everything, yeah, I could shop fast then. But now
Now they did some remodel over
Now
there.
I can't find anything. I didn't give my almost 20-year-old son his SpaghettiOs because I couldn't find them. He doesn't watch this, so it's okay.
All right. All right.
If anybody tells him, I will find you.
Hunt you down.
That's right. Just call me Brian Mills.
All right. All right. You have that one skill, or
Yeah, that one
whatever
skill.
that line is. He's got whatever that line.
Yeah, I
is.
don't. We just watched it the other day. I still don't
I
remember.
love him. I love that movie or that series. His 2 or 3 of them.
There's 3 of them.
he
Yeah,
had,
I can only watch the first one, but yeah,
They're good.
we'll really talk about something important.
All right, we're getting to something
Yeah.
important. All right, so today we want to talk about, because we've actually been talking about on Facebook a good bit. We've had some interaction with some of the local businesses. One of the things I've been sharing is how a number of businesses here in our area in Victoria have been closing, and it's been really disheartening. So today we really want to talk about some of the top reasons that we see businesses struggle and or end up closing, because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs out there. We have a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, and if there's anything that we can kind of give some tips on to avoid the struggle or minimize that struggle, but we just want to kind of talk about some of the things that we see.
Yeah.
Since we work with a lot of business owners, why they are struggling and sometimes don't make it.
Right.
So Misty, you want
So
to
you
take
want me
it?
to start?
Yeah.
I'm starting, I guess. Okay, so my thing, because we were talking about this before, my thing is, and I say this from a failure standpoint, because I feel like everyone who's been in business has failed at least once.
Agreed.
Because there's no success in failure.
Right.
I mean, that's how it works.
Right.
But what happened and what I notice with other places that I've worked and other people that I know, they're not prepared. They wake up and they're like, you know what? I am a fabulous cook and I'm going to open a restaurant. But what they don't understand is it's not just finding a location and buying your stuff. I mean, it is a lot of work
that goes in it.
that goes into it, and there's that understanding that when you open your business, that there's a very good chance that you're not going to be able to pull from that business for 5 to 7 years. You have to be able to live off something. I mean, if you're really lucky / blessed, however you believe, then you can. I mean, I'm thankful that I have a debt-free business, but the kind of business that I am allows for that.
Right.
I couldn't open a store and not be in debt.
Right.
I mean, you would have to save up hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy your inventory.
Right. Absolutely.
But I think that the biggest problem is that you're not sitting down and getting together a business plan. And that was my biggest problem, was Terry was constantly on me. Get a business plan, get a business plan, get a business plan. It took me 7 months. In that 7 months, I made a ton of mistakes.
You had already opened.
Yes, because I thought I knew what I was doing. And so in that 7 months, I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have anything to fall back on. I thought everything was great because I'm trying to build this. And then when I'm not getting any kind of income coming in, and I'm doing this full time, that's when I realized, oh dang, I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. So thankfully, I got it figured out the second time. But I mean, it's not just wanting to do it. I mean, I have a friend of mine is a phenomenal baker. She lost her job when all the oil field stuff shut down. So she started baking. She bakes amazing cakes. Amazing stuff. I mean, we use her for all of our cakes. But she knew, I mean, she was baking every day. And I mean, if, you work, typically if you make, $15 an hour and you work all day, you've made over $100. You know how many cakes you would have to sell to make $100 a day?
A lot of times people don't know the numbers.
So she would, and even though like on the weekends she could make up for those days, she was exhausting herself in her own business, and she did it for a year. And she was able to step back and say, you know what, this is what I love to do, but I would rather go back to work, save, and do it the right way.
Right.
So when she does open a bakery, it is going to be a phenomenal spot because she's going to already be prepared.
Right.
Because she will have taken the time, she will have seen what she needs to do, she knows what it's going to cost her because she's making it.
Right.
So she did very well for a year. And she could keep doing it. I mean, she could keep doing it. But, you know, sometimes you have to take a step back and now it's gone back to being her side hustle.
Right.
So now she's back to doing it on the sides instead of full time. So I think it's just kind of one of those things where you have to, sometimes your dream has to be a side hustle so that you can make it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And you bring up a good point, Misty, that a lot of people, most business get started, again, when people, they have a passion, they have a dream, they have something that they like doing, or they've been told multiple times, oh, you are great at, you know, making mums, or great at putting floral arrangements, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, hey, I can be a florist and open a shop. You know, yes, you may have a passion for something, but there is a whole business side of operating a business that, you know, that you really have to understand. And for anybody who is an aspiring business owner, or maybe within your first 24 months, there is an excellent book that I would recommend that you read. It's called The E-Myth. There's actually two versions. So there's the E-Myth and there's the E-Myth Revisited, and it's for entrepreneur myth. And the big thing is that, again, most people open that business because they have a skill, but they don't have that business background. And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. And you end up absolutely hating the business because you can't seem to get it successful. You end up hating that thing you were so passionate about.
I can see that.
So absolutely, you need to absolutely prepare. And I love what you said about it. It's nothing wrong with it being a side hustle. You know, my dad has a restaurant. I thought, because I grew up in a family-owned restaurant, I thought, hey, I want to do a restaurant too. I thought, oh man, I know how it works. My dad actually took a year off to help me and David open up a restaurant here in Victoria back in 2009 or so. And I realized after about 6 months, I realized this is not what I want to do. And I thought I was really prepared for it. I had a business plan and all of that.
Yeah.
But it was really quickly that I found out having a sit down, dine in that we spent. And the other thing too is if you have to have capital, if you've got to, purchase equipment, if you have to have a storefront, if you've got to do a remodel, it will always, don't think you know how to get the inexpensive stuff and you can make your budget work. It will always go over budget. I assure you, it will always go over the budget that you have allocated. But I just realized very quickly, oh my God, I am miserable. I do not ever want to own a restaurant. And how did I get myself into this? And I think it had been a very different story had I started out smaller, maybe started out doing catering and getting my feet wet, with the business. So, it's nothing wrong with getting your feet wet. Start, from home if you need to, instead of opening the if it's a boutique or what have you, or a retail location, instead of opening a storefront, start online. Start, get you an Etsy audience or Amazon or eBay or whatever. But, have a website and have an online presence and, start building an audience to see if you've got people that, that want that stuff. And then you can expand into a storefront.
No, I totally agree. I think that's why so many things fail. Is because you're putting your all into something and you're not giving yourself room to fail.
Right.
I had the ability to fail because my husband has a full-time job and he has a business. Mm-hmm. But his business is a lawn business, so he doesn't have overhead, hardly any overhead. He doesn't have any of that stuff. So he was able to float me while I got to see if this would work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's even days still that I'm like, okay, this is, do I really want to do this? And I do really want to do this. But I've made the decision not to borrow money against my company.
Right.
When you make that decision, you grow slow. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's just something that I have to be okay with. I have to be okay with growing slow because I don't want to take out a not $10,000 ain't gonna do nothing, $100,000 loan against my business, because then what happens when a month comes around that I can't dish out a $5,000 payment, because I've been on the administrative side of businesses when that happens.
Right.
When they're just like, let's get a loan, we can pay it off. Next month, when next month is better, well then next month isn't better.
Right.
You know, and you're in the medical field and insurance isn't paying.
Right.
And I mean, what do you do? So the best way is to just be as financially prepared as possible. But yeah, just because you can do something well doesn't mean it needs to be. I really like the whole food truck thing.
I wish that would have been out when we opened up in 2009.
I do love that.
Oh my gosh, that would have been perfect. Yeah,
because that's something that you could easily buy it piece by piece. Buy the trailer, then buy your equipment for inside, get everything done. I know a lot of these people probably have full-time jobs and then they're out. Weekends or festivals or whatever doing the whole food truck thing. So it's a side hustle until it makes enough money to turn itself into something else.
Right.
But I think it's when we get ahead of ourselves that's where the problem comes in, because we were talking about how in this generation that being an entrepreneur is not a noun anymore. It's more like a verb. It's something that you do now. Entrepreneurism. It's not a title anymore. It's just, it's like I don't want to say a fad, because I never feel like being an entrepreneur is a fad. But I just feel like if you're going to do something, learn it.
Right.
Because I did the whole fake it till you make it, and that is stressful. That is so, I will never do that again.
Absolutely.
Ever. Hey, look, my dad's calling me. I'm going to have to call him back. Sorry, Dad.
Hey, Dad. The other thing that I would say, and I see this a lot, is make sure you have validated that you have an audience who wants your product or wants your service. Again, you may
think just your 10 friends.
Thank you. And I was telling somebody this the other day. Make sure, and when you have your tribe around you, when you've got your support system, make sure it also includes, this goes hand in hand, that it includes people that are not just what I call those yes people. Not just going to say, oh yeah, that's great, Misty. You want to add basket weaving to your marketing services? That's a great idea. You need people who are going to be objective, look at what you're wanting to do, and push back. You want people who are going to poke holes in. Now, why is this going to work? Well, what if this happens? Have you thought about that? Friends also, I have learned, and you will learn too as an entrepreneur, friends will say, oh yeah, I'll come support you. But again, for you to be able to make a living out of it, you've got to have more than just those 10 friends. And those 10 friends aren't going to patronize you, but you need to have, more than just a handful of people. So you need to talk with your ideal audience. Whoever your ideal client is, you need to be having conversations with multiple of those people. Is this a good idea? What's valuable to you? How much would you pay for this? Don't just necessarily throw the price out. Say, how much would you invest in having this product, this service, this thing? Because you may be very surprised. You may find out that your price was way up here and the market's just not going to pay for it. Or you may find out, hey, I actually had my price down here and I can actually have it a little higher. But validate that you have a good idea that people will pay for before you just go out there and set up shop. Or you can be sorely disappointed if you just go out there.
And yes, and on a note for that too, know your worth. Because I started out, because I was doing the whole fake it till you make it thing. And so I spent, 7-8 months taking on jobs and learning them as I went. And also, I was building websites for $150. And, 75 of that was going to,
the stuff,
GoDaddy, because that's, what I was, that's, before I was able to become, an actual web designer. So I do a lot of my hosting through GoDaddy, but at least I get to be a GoDaddy pro now, because at least I know what I'm doing. But I would never charge $150 for a website.
Right.
but I had to learn. First, I had to learn how to do it correctly. Because I started out doing drag and drops. And people were buying them. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. These things look cheesy. And so then I learned how to do WordPress. And then upon learning it, every day I learned something new. Every day I learned something new. But I make a point to learn something new every day.
Right.
So by the end of the week, I've learned 7 new things.
Ding, 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 ding. Pick up that lesson too. Don't be stagnant in what you're doing. You always need to be growing.
Right, and everything changes. So I try to learn something new every day. So with the something new that you learn every day, I was able to determine that I was charging people a lot less. And what was happening is people were like, oh, I could pay this person over here $800 to do my social media, but she'll do it for $250, and they were running me ragged. I mean, they were wanting me to post every day. They were wanting me to do all this other stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, you were paying somebody else $800 to my $200, and you're wanting me to do the same thing. But they kind of saw that. So know your worth. Know, and every time it is okay. I say to my personal opinion, I don't know what Terry says. My personal opinion is don't raise your prices more than once a year. I don't know what your take is on that.
For me, it depends. Depends on the service product you have. Depends on how the market changes.
I was going to say, I could see like food and stuff. You know, I can see certain things. If cotton, you know, if there's something going on and prices on cotton raise. I mean, I can see things like that. But like in my world, if I'm going to change a price on something, I only do it once a year.
And
because I always give like a 10 to 15% cushion on if any of the hosting companies that I'm using do any kind of increase. It's never more than 5 or 7%. So I always give myself a little cushion.
So let me give you a tidbit though. So one of the things you can do is if you get to a point where you're thinking, man, you know, I've already raised my prices once this year, and if you think I really would like to kind of raise again, then all you do is add, kind of have a different package. Add something else.
Oh yeah. No, that's totally. Yeah, that's totally.
It's more valuable, and it doesn't have, it doesn't have to go out and be, you know, gosh, you've added something that's going to take you, you know, 7,000 hours to get proficient at. You can add just.
I don't have 7,000 hours.
You can add just a little something else, but be able to increase your pricing.
No, I have done that before, where I've changed a package on something, and I've notified my clients and said, hey, just so y'all know, this is something else that we've learned to do. Like we learned how to do citation services, or we've been able to do a research and made sure that their company is on every type of search, you know, Yellow Pages, Yelp, all that stuff, where they're found.
Absolutely.
So that's something that we were able to add that's easy for the most part. But I always tell people, when you're doing something, if something else has gone up and you've already, because a friend of mine that owns a salon, things had already gone up twice that year. And she's like, I've got to make up the difference. She said, but I can't keep increasing these prices.
Right.
She's in the Houston area. And I told her, I was like, add something simple.
Exactly.
Add something, whether it's a $10 upcharge for a hot rock massage.
Right. Exactly.
That will take you 5 minutes. Or a paraffin. Paraffin is so super cheap. Add something that will cost you next to nothing that you can recoup some of that money on.
Absolutely. And do an upsell.
So if you need, if you could upsell twice a week, what would you need to upsell to make up that difference? Because sometimes, if you're going from like a $30 manicure to a $32 manicure, then to a $35, you don't have to raise it to a $37. So add on something else. Because I'm sorry, if somebody says, hey, I'll massage your hands for $10 more, don't be thinking I'm not going to find $10.
Go ahead. Exactly.
I'll go home and make a sandwich.
Right.
So that somebody can massage my hands. And that's free.
And that's a great point though, on even the small incremental upsells, that adds up tremendously. I was, as a matter of fact, shout out to, and I didn't get her name, I should have got her name, but shout out to one of the, I don't know what the official title is, but you know, she prepared the sandwiches at Subway on John Stockbauer, at the corner of Stockbauer and Mockingbird. I went in there on Friday and, you know, put in my order for a sub. And she asked, from a meat standpoint, with the meat, did I want to make it a deluxe or make it something else. And I said, well, what's the difference? She said, oh, well, with a deluxe, you get 2 extra pieces of meat. With the something else, you get 4 extra pieces of meat. And I said, well, no, make it the deluxe. I'll take the 2 extra pieces of meat. And then I smiled at her and I said, great upsell. I mean, so it was a choice of being an additional 75 cents, or if I wanted to get the whole lot of meat, it was an extra $1.50. But imagine how many times that she would do that as people come through. And I had never been asked that at any Subway. So little things that you can do, any type of business that you have, you always have the ability, I think, as I'm thinking through my mind, to be able to upsell, add some kind of value add service there.
Right.
To help increase your profitability.
Yeah. And I mean, 2 things. I mean, never be afraid to fail. I mean, there's failure in everything. I mean,
it's learning.
That's just life. I mean, failed relationships, led me to my husband. Failed employment led me to my business. So I can't say that I'm not a fan of failure, because I am, because failure always brings you someplace better. But I always tell people, don't be afraid to fail at what you're doing.
Right.
I mean, you're making me laugh because you were talking about like mums and stuff. The whole time my girls were in high school, people would always come to me, can you make a mum? Can you make a mum? You should do this for a living. And I'm thinking, okay, I would have to literally make 50 mums a day to make any money. And I know women do it. I know they do. I don't know how they do it. But they do. Right. I would always make enough to cover my girl stuff. So I'd always sell just enough mums to cover their shoes, their dresses, their prom tickets, whatever. Right. So that they wouldn't, if they were inviting a boy that didn't go to school with them. But it's okay if you're living out your dream as a side hustle.
Absolutely. More people need to do that.
I mean, it's okay. My husband loves mowing lawns. He loves it. But we also sat down and realistically looked at it and said, okay, you would have to mow X amount of yards
replace your income
every single day to replace your income. And he's got to where he mows your yard. So he's got to where people want to see him. And if he sent someone else over there, there's a good chance he would lose those clients because they know how he does. They know how he is. They know the quality of work that he provides.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's, for right now, it's okay because we know that the only way that it would ever become a full-time thing is if we could switch places and my company was bringing in enough to float him while he built his up and got people used to someone else.
Right.
And was able to train people to have the same quality of care. I hope that makes sense.
It makes absolutely.
But I just feel like people don't make yourself, don't be hard on yourself or feel like you're a failure because you're not doing it full time.
Exactly.
You are phenomenal at what you do with your consulting part of your career, but it's not your full time gig.
Exactly. I have a full time job that oftentimes goes more than full time. And to me, it's more than my consulting is more than a side hustle. But I guess it would really be classified as kind of that side hustle that I am working to continuously build. But I know it's not at the place where I needed to be to replace to replace full-time income. So I continue to be able to work and be able to do both. But again, don't despise those small beginnings. Start out, and Robert Kiyosaki also says, fail fast. So,
I failed real fast. I did that good.
Don't be afraid to
continue
to tweak. Look at what you're doing. Do you need to change any aspect of it? Keep tweaking it as you go. I've got a new service that I'm going to be actually rolling out in a little while, probably here within the next 4 weeks. But even before I'm launching, it's gone through 4 different iterations. I've talked to numerous people to validate it's something that people want, looked at the price point, getting everything just right. So kind of one of the last things too is build your audience before you launch. Before you open your business, if it's a storefront, if it's an online business, if you've got a product, a service, it doesn't matter. Build an audience before you open up. You do not want to open the doors and say, oh, here I am.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who you are. So if it is, again.
That happens all the time in Victoria.
Yes.
Do you know when I know something's opened?
When you
When it's closing.
Well, that's true.
When it's closing.
That's true too.
I really hope my dad's not trying to call me again.
Uh-oh.
Okay, never mind. We're good. It's my brother this time.
So just again, build an audience. If it's a storefront that's going to be opening, 6 months before you open, 3 months at a minimum before you open, you need to be blasting that away on Facebook, on social media. Hey, this is coming. Give teasers about what you're going to have, how great it's going to be. If it's a service that you have, again, same thing, whether it's a home-based business, if it's a service, doesn't matter if it's a direct sales business, start teasing that out so people get used to, here's what you got, here's what you're going to be able to have that they can get. So once you have launched it, you've got an audience that's ready to purchase from you. So
that was on the list and I totally forgot to talk about that. So.
But since we have just hit the 30-minute mark, I think we are going to wrap up. Please, entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, let us know in the comments below, what are the issues that you're having with business? Because we have a great array of resources and we want to be able to help get you to that next level in business.
Yes.
Get you to the level
we might be able to help you.
Getting that business off the ground and getting going. So please leave those in the comments. Misty, you want to let them know where they can find us?
You can find us on Facebook. You can message us. You can post. We're Empowered Women Rock at Facebook. You can get us on our website, empoweredwomenrock.com. You can call us. Our information is actually, my phone number's on Facebook and on our website. Yeah, we're insane. I don't know why we would do such a thing. But no, we are. So we make ourselves available. Don't ever feel like you can't reach out to us. If there's something that you're passionate about, if you want to see if it can be something, we may already know. Exactly. And if we don't know, we can find the answer for you. Because we have a giant network of men and women who can help with a lot of those things. So like, share our video, and comment in the thread below.
Absolutely.
Give us your questions. We're here.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. I'm Terry.
And I'm Misty.
And we are Empowered Women Rock.